Welcome everybody to this week's episode of The Weekly Toast, the Monday morning breakfast show that highlights the most recent gaming news that's caught my attention, and I give my thoughts on the games that I've recently played. In today's episode, I'll share my hands-on experience with you about the Marvel Rivals closed beta test. A new PvPvE style extraction shooter releases on August 13th. And Shroud reveals to the world a new FPS game, posing the question, has a brand new era for tactical competitive shooters been born? Kicking things off, let's dive into my time in the Marvel Rivals closed beta test. This past weekend, I was lucky enough to gain access to the beta. Shout out to Slim for the key. As soon as I launched the game, an overwhelming sense of nerd power began flowing through my veins. Marvel is a brand that has been a part of my life since I was a child, and I'm sure that this is the case for a lot of you watching this video too. Seeing our favourite comic book heroes come to life in a video game, web-slinging around the city and smashing their way through terrain, gives you an awesome feeling of being right in the heart of the action. In this closed beta test, the game only contains a handful of the iconic Marvel roster, featuring heroes like Hulk, Scarlet Witch, and Iron Man. There are also some lesser known heroes included too, such as Luna Snow, Penny Parker, and Magic. That being said, each hero has its own unique animations, set of abilities, and voice lines to truly immerse you whilst playing. So far, I've played around 10 hours over the weekend and thoroughly enjoyed every moment. I've played both available modes, those being quick play and competitive, and got to see a total of about 3 types of map. There's a capture and push mode, a capture the point mode, and an escort mode. The maps themselves are beautifully crafted, allowing players to fly freely around the buildings, navigate through the intended corridors to reach objectives, and giving players the option to Hulk smash their way through walls and floors to create new lines of sight. That's right, certain parts of each map are actually destructible. There's even a hotkey in-game to scan and see which parts of the terrain are breakable. It's a smart idea, to be honest, and it was a really cool feature. Moving on to the heroes that I played, I started out by playing Doctor Strange, as I saw the game trailer showcasing that he could create portals for players to jump through and flank enemy territory. While this was a fun concept, I personally struggled to create any space with this feature, and after a few matches of head scratching, I switched to playing Scarlet Witch. As with any video game, I try to find my playstyle, and Scarlet Witch was really fun. Playing her was both an awesome experience and a huge mistake for me, and let me explain why. First, the awesomeness. Scarlet Witch is a very easy hero to pick up and play. Her abilities resemble those of Moira in Overwatch 2. She has a long-range damaging attack that requires you to only mouse over an enemy to start dealing constant damage to it. This is just like Moira's right-click. She also has a Moira-style fade, but Scarlet Witch has the ability to temporarily fly. Another one of her abilities is an AoE placeable bubble that will periodically stun players that are inside of it. This felt quite strong, combined with her right-click, which is an AoE dark energy spear effect. And finally, her ultimate. I will let the footage show you its power. Safe to say, this is where the mistake element comes into my previous comment. Scarlet Witch is too much fun and very easy to play. This led me to play Marvel Rivals for about 3 hours straight purely as Wanda. While this is great, anyone that knows me will understand that once I find what I enjoy in a video game, I tend to stick to it and try to master it, which renders all other options completely obsolete to me. However, after 3 hours and seeing no healer in one of our competitive games on our team, I decided to step up to the plate. I started out playing Rocket. He's fun. Machine gunning down enemies while on Groot's shoulders is a fantastic feeling. And yes, this is a thing. All heroes have certain ways that they can team up with another hero. Another example of this combining of abilities is Storm and Thor. This example allows Storm's power to grow and deal more damage, as both Storm and Thor synergize their power to control thunder and lightning. This concept is really cool and something that I'm not going to dive too much into in this video, as I need to learn more about how these powers are used and combined. But it's a great feature and it gives that sense of team play even more weight. Next, I played Mantis, a fun healing style that requires players to resource manage a limited number of healing charges to use her abilities. These charges are regained both over time and by dealing critical damage to an enemy. Cycling through how to heal, how to sleep a target, but also trying to deal damage and hit those critical spots to get more healing output was a great challenge. And finally, I played Adam Warlock, and I think that his kit is where my support main was found. With the ability to chain heal your teammates, share incoming damage across your team so that no one gets spiked and killed really quickly, the ability that he can self-revive every few minutes by cocooning after death, and his ultimate ability to mass res all of your fallen allies at his location, albeit with only a fraction of their total health points, Adam Warlock felt like I was raid healing in a PvE game, but in fact, I was actually commanding a PvP war. Marvel Rivals impressed me a lot, and even though there were only about 3 maps and 3 game modes to experience in this closed beta test, there was a roster of chatty heroes, big spell effects and teamfights happening constantly on screen. I felt like I was playing a totally new game experience, just like when games used to release many decades ago. Imagine the first time you experienced an MMO with other players on a shared world, or the first time that you loaded up Counter-Strike to play with your friends in a LAN cafe. Marvel Rivals has this wow factor, and I cannot wait for the full game to release so I can get stuck into playing it again. It is truly brilliant. Now, let's take a look at Level 0 Extraction. Play as rival mercenaries fighting for loot, or as an alien monster hunting humans from the shadows in this solo or co-op unique experience. Level 0 is a fresh take on asymmetrical PvPvE in the multiplayer genre. Imagine Escape from Tarkov mixed with Left 4 Dead's PvP mode, a mode where players can either be humans trying to fight to survive and complete a map objective, or play as a monster trying to stop the humans from ultimately completing their goal. Level 0 has this element at its core. Players will take on the role of a mercenary, trying to shoot and loot their way through missions, all while gathering items to take back to their hideout and craft bigger and better gear. While the mercenaries try to achieve this, other players can adopt the role of enemy creatures, roaming the same map to prevent the mercenary players from gathering any items and completing their missions. I really like the concept of this game, as it gives players the chance to try both sides of the combat. It also allows players to keep the game fresh by giving them this choice of playing either a surviving mercenary or a beastly hunter. The extraction looter-shooter genre has seen many games come and go over the years, with only the hardcore fan bases keeping the remaining games alive. Games such as Escape from Tarkov and Hunt Showdown. Level 0 Extraction brings something new to the genre, and this could make it really stand out and become a strong competitor to the previously mentioned games, and this is a good thing. Competition in a genre is always healthy. It gives game developers on all teams the ideal opportunity to keep thinking of ways to make their game fresh and retain their player base, all whilst pushing boundaries and appealing to new players. I'll be giving Level 0 Extraction a bash on stream when it releases on August 13th. And finally, my good friend Shroud has endorsed a project, and that is Spectre Divide. Tactical shooters over the years have tried many ways to stay fresh and funky for players to enjoy and embrace new combat mechanics. but I can safely say that only the veterans of the FPS genre still stand tall. Games like Counter-Strike 2, Valorant, Overwatch 2, and even Team Fortress 2 are the go-to FPS games to play, and they've been around for a while. Spectre Divide brings a new twist to competitive FPS, that being a reduced team size of 3 players instead of the traditional 5. And here's the twist, you can have the ability to control 2 characters in-game. Now this is 2 characters per player, making the game a 6v6 experience. Now you're probably wondering how this works. Basically, you have 2 fleshy suits in-game that you can swap between while playing a match. Each body has its own loadout and playstyle, meaning that you could set up your own crossfire to hold an angle if you were tactically minded. I absolutely love this concept. Firstly, the reduced team size is an interesting idea. Many gaming groups that I encounter these days average 3 active players at any one time, and queuing with 2 to 3 people means that in a 5v5 game, you would get 1 to 2 random players that either don't cooperate with your team most of the time, or they just shout loud, toxic words down their microphones. Spectre Divide is pushing new boundaries with 3v3 PvP and its new unique playstyle with 1 player controlling 2 characters in-game. I'm always for innovation and I welcome this change to the FPS scene. I cannot wait to see how this game develops over the next year, and I really want to play it. It's definitely one to watch. Ladies and gents, it's that time of the week where I remind you that this week's Epic Game Store freebies are available. And this week, you can pick up a cozy puzzle-solving game with bears, Lumberjack. See what they did there? And Epic's new free-to-play team-based shooter with food, Raw Men. Is that a play on words like ramen? They're both absolutely free. Check out the link in the video description and claim them today. And that's it for this week's episode of The Weekly Toast. If you've enjoyed the video, then drop a like, subscribe if you're new here to the channel, and tune in next week for another of my weekly gaming highlights. Social and stream links are below in the video description. Come hang out on Twitch sometime, Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, 10 AM UK time. Thank you ever so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.